Welcome back to the Overthinking podcast, where we take all the fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle chaos in your brain and help you make actual sense of it.
Today's episode is a little different. This is the raw, unfiltered glimpse into our lives, specifically Bree's, as she has made the move to Chicago. From all the chaos that comes with moving to a little perspective shift, we're yapping and bringing you along for the ride. But first,
we're going to play our favorite little game.
And today's this or that is a nap in a Midwest thunderstorm or cocktails on a rooftop at sunset.
This one feels really easy for me since, again, this is my 10th day in Chicago, the Midwest, and I've seen every single style of weather that you could possibly show me. I still just want sunset cocktails. I just don't imagine there being anything better than that, especially at sunset when it's romantic. You're getting your circadian rhythm supported. You have a nice cocktail. Yeah, that just 10 out of 10 for me.
Have you seen a good Midwest sunset yet? I know it's only been like a few weeks, but.
This might sound weird. Do Midwest sunsets feel like dusty? Like they look hazy because it's hot. You know what I mean? Like I feel like San Diego sunsets are so clear.
You'd think that a San Diego sunset would be hazier because we have like the marine layer.
And pollution potentially. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. It's been a while since I've lived in the Midwest, so I don't really remember. But I do remember some good sunsets for sure. But nothing tops a San Diego sunset. But I think I'm going to go with a nap in a thunderstorm only because I feel nostalgic for thunderstorms. And that is one thing I do miss about the Midwest is like a hot summer day when the rain's falling and, you're a little scared that a tornado might be coming your way. This is some Midwest shit that's only relatable to people that live in the Midwest.
And truly, if you were to flip it, would you having a cocktail for you is probably not like your first normal thing that you think is fun. Would you take a nap during a gorgeous sunset?
So the thing about living in San Diego is you get so greedy. You're like, well, I'll have sun tomorrow, so I'll just be inside today. Like we call it the sun guilt.
I feel that so deeply in my bones. It was sunny for 2 hours here, and I was like, what am I doing inside? How dare I even disrespect the Mother Earth like this?
Right. But then you just take it for granted when you're in San Diego. So I mean, living in San Diego, I would have no problem taking a nap while it's sunny outside, although I'm not really a nap person, so maybe that's, causing some confusion here. But I think I'm going to go with at least a lie down in a thunderstorm.
Yeah. I'm my ethos is anti-nap. Whatever fabric is designed in my chromosomes is you don't nap.
Yes. Yeah. Too much anxiety for naps. I can't. Well, today is going to be a little free-flowing. So this episode is primarily because Bree's in the midst of chaos, and we haven't had a whole lot of time to prepare lengthy episodes, although we are going to do a fun episode next week. So this is just going to be a little opportunity for us to connect and catch up, and also so you can see that even as fitness professionals, we still experience struggles and chaos. And this might be a good example of how people who quote unquote have their shit together might pivot or might find some workarounds for the season of life that they're in. So maybe you can find some golden nuggets. Otherwise, you're just along for the ride. So let's go, baby. So tell us what you're doing in Chicago.
Wow. Okay. So also I think that the listeners should know that I have put this episode off one more step, and then I'll be ready. Ooh, one more thing. And I'm coming off of almost 24 hours alone for the first time in a month and a half. So
because you've been staying with a friend, right?
Yes. This whole thing started, I started packing the beginning of May, and it's now June 7th. So it has been an entire month of living out of a suitcase, not knowing where my things are, not knowing where my next meal is going to come from because I haven't planned it. And I have a million other things on my plate. It's been over a month of feeling like everything is displaced. My routines, my career, my relationships, every single friendship I've had has changed. Every romantic relationship that I've had has changed in the last couple months.
And is probably
And
still
it's still
changing.
changing. My relationship to my family went through a big roller coaster. And then just uprooting my life. Like, I lived in that apartment for 3 years and had 2 relationships in that apartment. So really the biggest weight for me was pulling every memory and every item that I owned and put it in the middle of my floor and looked at my life through my belongings. And like, that moment is so powerful. And I think that every adult should spring clean this way. Like, no, you got to empty out every junk drawer, not just the one.
I was just going to say, like, how confronting is it to like move and you go through your shit and you're like, I am a fucking pack rat.
I'm going to keep this one thing just in case 3 days from now, I possibly might have the idea that I might need this one paperclip.
All the millennials can relate to like having your old MacBook box and keeping it under your bed forever. And then 20 years from now, you're like, fuck. I should
There's literally nothing in an iPhone box other than that one charger that you probably already lost. And
yes,
why am I keeping that box? What is my emotional attachment?
Honestly, stop making these boxes so nice. I feel bad for throwing them away.
Like, I'll use this to put things in. No, I fucking won't. No, I won't. So I actually feel like that, my connection to my stuff has been, I think, one of the biggest mindset shifts that are realizations that I wasn't anticipating or expecting. Like, I was expecting like big heartbreak with leaving my friends and big heartbreak with leaving San Diego and, being on the other side of the country from my family. But like, I actually am really proud of how I've handled that side of things. I'm actually more confronted with the relationship with myself. And truly that is going to be the red thread of this entire podcast, is learning to find your way back when you've lost yourself. And even when I literally get lost every time I leave my apartment so far, I feel more found than I've ever felt. And even in the last, again, 20 hours of just being by myself, I've had moments where things were tough. Like, I had to problem solve and think on my feet. And that's the real why for me moving across the country.
So you say that like you are having this like identity shift of you personally. Is that because you have grown up in California your whole life and you've never really like left? Like, I know you're kind of from the Bay Area, so it's like definitely different there. But the Midwest is so different from California is just so different from any other state, really.
Yeah, the culture shock. So when someone asked me like, hey, are you experiencing culture shock? I was like, light bulb, yes, I am exactly feeling that.
Interesting. How? In what way?
I think some of it is around like social expectations. Like, people feel a little bit more prim and proper here. I'm used to like a little bit.
That's the Midwest nice.
Yeah, the Midwest nice is palpable. And I would say that in San Diego, there's a little bit more edge, like kind of how you think of like New York, where people are like, they're on their timeline, they're doing their own thing, da-da-da. But there's obviously there's elements to everything, but I do feel like California has a similar fast pace, but it's a little bit more self-serving, a little bit more like self-focused.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
I kind of like that. Stick in your own lane.
I do too. I am like a very independent person. And like one thing I loved about the Midwest is like the niceness that you get. Like, everyone is so polite. You're always going to have a door held for you. You're always going to get someone walking down the street saying hello. I love that. But most of the time, I'm so in my own head that like, I just want to be left alone. I don't want to feel obligated to make eye contact with you. And then I don't want to feel like a bad person if I'm not making eye contact with you. And like, that's kind of where that polite guilt lives, is like, and I'm not saying that's wrong or bad. Like, there's definitely days where in California, I'm like, hi, how's it going? Good morning. How are you? That there's plenty of those people too. But most of the time, I just want to get my shit done.
Yeah. I would say that driving has actually been a very interesting culture shock. And I know that you get heated with driving tendencies or patterning, but tell you what, that Midwest nice comes out a lot. People in San Diego stop inside the crosswalk when you're crossing. People in the Midwest
Is it so
stop
much
a
better there?
mile behind the first line of the crosswalk. And they're like waving you by. I'm like, I know that you stopped for me. I can see you.
Right.
It's
like I promise that I know that you're going to
this
stop.
overt niceness. It's almost like, see, I was nice.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of edge. I don't know if I'm like reading that right.
Does it feel fake?
I think it just feels fake to me because I'm not used to it. Like, I can't comprehend that someone is not in a rush when they're stopping for me as a pedestrian. Like, when I'm in the car, I'm like, come on, let's go. But when I'm a pedestrian, I'm like, this is my street. I'm gonna
100%.
cartwheel across this bitch. I'm gonna do whatever.
Yes.
It's my right
I'm
of
gonna
way.
take my time.
So I
Yes.
do notice some of that. And also with driving, like, there is no parking. There's no parking here. There's a lot of humans in Chicago and a lot of cars and just not a lot of street to park on. I'm lucky that I found an apartment that had a parking spot that I pay $250 for a month. Just going to pause.
$250
Yes, Kelsey,
a month?
$250 a month for a parking spot that is not covered, is going to be outside. And I just found out that the car I've had
in
for 2
the
years.
Chicago winters?
Yes, I found out the car that I've had for 2 years does in fact have automatic start though.
Yeah.
Baby.
Do you have butt warmers?
I sure do, but I don't know if I can turn those on from here.
Oh, yeah. I don't know either, but either way, to have your car pre-warmed is
What if I brought like
fantastic.
my, what's it called? Heating pad and brought like a portable charger and just wore my heating pad inside my down jacket?
You probably may have
think
to.
that I'm okay. Yep, that's next. But I do want to.
Bree has never experienced like living in a winter before, right?
Kelsey, I have never had a white Christmas before.
How long have you been around snow? Like, what's the amount of time that you've been around snow?
Max 4 days. Maybe a week when I was like younger, like middle school.
Okay. What was that, like Big Bear or something?
Tahoe.
Mammoth?
Because I grew up in Northern California. So
Okay.
Tahoe is like a 3 hour.
It's pretty cold. But it's not Midwest cold. Like,
No.
you're on Lake Michigan. You're going to get so fucking cold,
Okay,
dude.
let me tell you the amount of resentment that I have daggered with my eyes to people when I tell them. I'm like, they're like, oh, welcome. Like, where are you from? Like, California. They're like, oh, how are you doing? How do you feel about winter? And I'm like, can you just be happy for me? Like, say, wow.
Don't spoil it. It's
Exactly.
June.
And then the other half of the people will be like, oh, you came at a great time. You're going to fall in love with the city. And then, you'll have some good memories when the time is cold. That's the proper
You'll have some
response.
doubts.
Don't jump scare me and be like, yeah, you're not going to survive. You're going to be really sad and depressed and probably overweight. And I'm like, pull at all my core triggers. How about?
Listen, it is not that bad. A bunch of people live there. You're gonna be fine. People figure it out. You just don't go outside as much, and that's the hard
truly,
part.
like
You
the
figure out
word
things to do.
resiliency, that is my word for this entire trip. Resiliency in all of the elements, whether it's weather, whether it's friends, whether it's work, every single part of my life has been turned around. And so to answer the very beginning question, which is like, why did I even choose Chicago and why did I even move out here? So in 2017, I've talked about this all on the podcast already, but in CrossFit, my hormones just completely took a shit. Like my entire system was just like overloaded with cortisol, or actually I was not producing any cortisol anymore. My hormones were just completely tapped. I was overweight. I had acne. All my joints were hurting, all this stuff. So I went through this naturopathic route for years. I probably spent tens of thousands of dollars on supplements and appointments and all this stuff to like try to figure out what the fuck is wrong with my body after CrossFit. Right. I didn't need to do all of that, but the problem is the same, which is there's no access to care that's reliable. And if you have a specialist, they don't talk to your primary. And so anyway, long story short, a client of mine who I coached for like 6 years, we've had a very close relationship for a long time. His mom passed away a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I was with him through all of that. And so when he made his deviation from what he was doing in clinical diagnostics as a registered dietitian, he was like, I'm going to open up a concierge medical practice. There is no reason why in Chicago, where this is like the hub of medical advancement, because there's like, I think 3 or 4 universities here. for health. Anyway, long story short, True Health is a concierge medical practice that a client / friend of mine is creating. And in March, he called me and he said, which he never calls me. He was like, do you have a couple minutes to talk? And I was like, sure. Are you okay? Mind you, like this, I've only known this person through a coaching relationship. He says, I'm starting this medical practice that I've been talking to you about. Like I was still coaching him and like mentoring during this time. He's like, I want you to develop our lifestyle medicine system. And I was like, what does that mean? And he said, essentially, we're going to do concierge primary care the same way that, you know, something like Cleveland Clinic or those would do, but I'm developing the fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle education, implementation, and assessment protocols for every single patient that comes into the practice. Our first practice is going to be only 1,500 patients, which is great because we have 5 providers. So if you do the math, you think about, I don't think anybody knows how many patients one doctor sees. Do you know? Do you have like an estimation? Like even like a ballpark?
No clue.
Ballpark it.
2,000.
2,000 to 3,000 patients that they have to be responsible and responding to and all these things. So we're giving the power back to the provider and also to the patient. So the patient gets access to care and specialists for like a membership fee of $325, which anyway, I won't get into all of it, but I'm just really excited about it. I'm really excited to like actually make long lasting and impacting care on people that really want it and need it, and people who are willing to kind of do the hard thing. And this has kind of been a culmination of all of the things that I would have wanted to do in the last 10 years of my life. And I think that's what made it feel like such a hell yes, was that I had all this personal experience of hating the medical system. I literally almost fractured my wrist because I hit a wall, which is a different story, because I was so mad about.
It doesn't seem like the medical system. That seems like that
was a me problem. But I was so enraged and so mad that I couldn't get access to care as a healthy, very healthy, in fact, health leader in my community. And I still can't get care and get answers to like XYZ. So it felt like a hell yes.
It's beyond frustrating. And I think that's something that, you know, no matter where you land, we can all agree on that our healthcare system is primarily dominated by corporate entities. And we don't have the power as individuals. We pay a high premium monthly. Like Seth and I pay like $800 a month for the both of us. And we still have to meet a high deductible. And he signed up for insurance months ago and I still don't have my cards. I'm trying to get in to get all my routine vaccinations. I'm trying to go to the dentist and they're like, okay, well, we might have to look you up. And like, I just need to go to the fucking doctor.
What?
I just need to go to the doctor, do a couple things. And usually I end up going to just Planned Parenthood because you can get in, you can see an NP or a gynecologist pretty quickly and it's affordable. But that's how it should be, right? Like this is why when we talk about socialized medicine, this is how it should be. You know, it comes with a cost in other ways, like your offices become busier, but we should start thinking about like corporate entities not being in charge of everything and just fucking taking advantage of us. So.
And really, when you go to the like bottom line of it, you're paying $800 a month and your copays. And then you have to hit a deductible, which like whoever actually hits their deductible and is like tracking it and keeping an eye on it. It's like credit card points. Why am I doing that?
I also want to mention something too. And like, you know, we're saying all this, right? That like health insurance companies are the problem. I want to separate that from doctors being the problem because medical doctors, MDs specifically, are not inherently the problem. They are overburdened. Yes. Why? That's a whole other topic that I'm not really qualified to answer, but they're overburdened. So they don't have the time in order to dedicate to individuals, to giving them this like well-rounded advice when it comes to their health. But it's not necessarily the doctors or their training's problem. Like at the end of the day, we have to trust our medical system being the programs where doctors go and do their education, scientists who are doing the research for everything, for vaccines, for medicines. Yes, we have to trust all those things. And also, the pharmaceutical companies are to blame.
For sure.
And the insurance companies are to blame.
I think the cycle that really is devastating, and again, this is based on things that I've heard from our team meetings so far and everything like that, but there's this expectation that providers need to have all of the answers. And they need to be all knowing. So if you come into my office, you say, oh, I have this pain. I need to know exactly what it is right away and say it with confidence and do the right thing. And that's the expectation. And that's fair. I think that is fair. The doctors should have that expectation that they should know what to do. However, that's when black box thinking comes in, where you're like, I'm expected to know everything. So you're more like inclined to make mistakes because you don't want to ask for help or be like, you know what? I don't actually know what's going on. Let me do a little research. Let me get back to you, because they don't have the fucking bandwidth to do that, right? When you're trying to navigate 2,000, 3,000 patients and you're overwhelmed, we do not make our best decisions when we're overwhelmed.
Yeah, you're tired
and angsty and don't want to be there, and certainly don't want to go the extra mile when I've been overworked for months and years at a time. So anyway, I digress. True Health is a really exciting opportunity because I've always done everything based on people. And so when Alex asked me, I was like, it's a hell yes, because I know the company's going to be based in people. And one of the questions you were going to ask me is like, what's, the culture shock? I was like, I haven't consciously hung out with a man in 2 years.
Like for any extended amount of time.
Aside from Seth, I seriously have not ever texted a man to make plans. Okay. Maybe 2 years specifically. Okay. And that is crazy to me. Even that was weird. Like I felt like I had to adjust, or I noticed myself wanting to adjust to like be a bro. And I was like, no, fucking be yourself. That's like an example.
Does so far Chicago feel a little less gay?
No, Chicago feels super gay. Like way, way big time gay. Big time gay. Like gay is everywhere. In San Diego,
that.
You go to Hillcrest, you are outnumbered as a straight person. But if anywhere else in San Diego, I mean, it's got some red parts. You know what I mean? Like you go up by Temecula. Sure. I mean, yeah, like there's some.
We have tons of military. Exactly. It makes sense.
So coming to Chicago,
which, also a a little gay. If you ask me.
Truly, look at the news. The more Republican you are, the more gay you are. We'll cut that out.
Hey, that's what I'm saying, right?
Here's what I think, that coming to Chicago, actually, because I don't really know anything, like I didn't really research. Like I did, but I didn't. I was like, I'm coming here for True Health. I'm coming here for Alex. I'm going to make an impact in the world. Long term, I want to bring this idea back to San Diego, create an all women's True Health where like women are supported from start to finish, everything. Like that's my big, big goal. But when I think about the changes in my like day to day, I have no idea. Like I have no idea what's going to happen because really this is my first day. But it does feel like there's like the Midwest nice, but there's also like the Midwest like familial fabric. Like that's another thing. I haven't spent time around kids, again, consciously in over 2 years. But I walk around everywhere and everyone's like, yeah, talking about families and wanting families. All of my friends for the last 2.5 years have been dinks, double income, no kids. Dinkwads.
Yeah, if you could see my face right now, I'm like, ugh. Because it just brings me back to that, like growing up in Nebraska, growing up in Missouri. That's just what you did. You like went to high school, you went to college, maybe you got a job, and then you started finding your husband, wife, partner, whatever, and then you anticipated kids. And like early on, I was like, oh, I don't like that trajectory. There's got to be something else. Like, what if I want something different? What about me? What about Kelsey?
That part. And I think that is what is such an interesting perspective coming from California, going to the Midwest versus like vice versa, like you and I switched. That perspective of growing up and being like, oh my God, this is like the expectation of me. I grew up a little bit with that pressure from my parents, but not really. Like my parents very much were like, be who you want to be and do what you want to do. But coming here, I almost feel more pressure than my family. Like I don't want to have, a classic family and kids and all that stuff. Like I want to forge a very edgy and different career.
You're a wild stallion.
Yeah, and that I like that about myself. And so that's something that, again, like coming off the reflection of really the last like 5 hours of what this trip means for me is, you love this, but I would say like, grow me the fuck up. Like I wanted this venture to grow me the fuck up from top to bottom. When I said to Alex, yes, I will come there and send me the letter of intent, I'll do this. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to be the most resilient human being you've ever seen after this.
Yeah. You have been so far.
I just didn't think it would happen before I left San Diego. The amount of paper cuts happening and bullshit I had to deal with in San Diego before I even got my feet in Chicago was crazy. And we can talk about how much detail you want to know, but things like my moving company scamming me and me selling them $1,200 and then having to write like a cease and desist like demand letter that they Venmo me back. Like actually,
did they end up Venmoing you back from the demand letter?
I got it from ChatGPT.
Hell yeah, dude. You've talked about a little bit on your story when you were in the process of like booking all those people and you were meeting like hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. So how did you manage like all that stress? Because like in the moment you're like, shit, this is never going to end, or I'm not going to get there, or I'm going to lose my stuff. And you're just like overwhelmed with all these thoughts. How did you like cope with that? How did you come to peace with that? What was like your thinking and how did you like get to the other side?
Well,
as she meditates,
I will start by saying that
let me qualify. How are you getting to the other side?
Good. Thank you for that. I'll be honest, you guys. I have not been taking care of myself in the ways that I know that I can and the ways that I know do help. I think just the sheer volume of overwhelm that I experienced was different than anything I'd ever experienced. So I feel like the tools that I knew that worked, and even like from a education standpoint, like I know the science behind these downregulation techniques and all these things, but in the moment when I'm
you can tell yourself to box breathe till you're blue in the
face.
I'm
so mad and so angry about something, I can't. Like I was not able to like access that rational part of my coaching brain or my athlete brain that was like, everything's okay. Everything's happening for you. This challenge is exactly what you asked for because resiliency is on the other side. I know. Yeah. I know that.
Right. You'll get there.
But the number of emotional outbursts, like a temper tantrum, like think of like your worst temper tantrum as a child, as a teenager. Yesterday was the first day I did not have an emotional episode. Thank you very much. Every single day for the last 30 plus days, I have had like what feels like an emotionally crumbling moment where like I get into this like doom and gloom and I'm like, what am I doing? I can't do this.
What have I done?
And not even like, what have I done? But like, you can't do this. Like all this negative limiting mindset, not about what I've done, about my identity.
Would you call it a little imposter syndrome?
Yes, about my character. Like that's the stuff that I'm questioning. It's nothing about the move. It's nothing about Chicago. It's like, do you actually have what it takes in you? Like you've leaned on your friends a lot over the last 2 years. You've leaned on your partners a lot over the last 10 years. Are you sure that you have it all? Like, are you resourceful enough? So that's really been the hardest part, is like the thing that leads to these emotional outbursts is when I come into a conflict where I immediately like, freak out. Maybe I don't know what to do here. Or like, what could I possibly do? And then someone else helps me or jumps in and is like, do this, do that. And then now I'm paralyzed by like doing what they think I should do versus what I think I should do. And then now I'm conflicted and now I don't know what to do. And now I'm overwhelmed. And now I just want to throw something at the wall. Like and then when I'm at that moment, I now hate whoever I'm talking to. I also hate myself. And I also hate exactly where I am, because this place, wherever I'm in, feels like a burning fire bubble. And I need to like run away or hit something or scream. And I've done all of those things and truly none of them lead to the better side. Like you ever seen a kid throw a tantrum and then 2 seconds later they're like, do, 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 do. That's exactly how I'm being. It's crazy. And so.
But maybe that's good, right? Like, I have so many thoughts on all this because you're touching on so many interesting things, right? Like my brain immediately goes to like, okay, Bree the athlete has learned to listen to coaches, listen to like people above you, listen to other athletes on your team, other teammates. Like all of what you're saying reminds me of like why you are who you are, right? And I'm not trying to like psychoanalyze you, but I just feel like I see the patterns. And I also acknowledge that like this is the opportunity that you've needed all along. And it's like we get to experience this with you where you're given this opportunity that you know that you need. And you're also confronted with like the doubt, the imposter syndrome, the shame, the guilt, and whatever feelings those are. But you're also like, sounds like doing a good job of like feeling those in the moment. Like you said, you're reacting, you're lashing out, but you're not hurting anyone. Like if you're mad, you're mad. So like, okay, punch a pillow, punch a wall. Who the fuck cares as long as you fix it? Like you're allowing yourself to feel the feelings that you're having in the moment. I think that's huge.
Yeah. And I mean, I will touch on what you said. Like, it's not hurting anyone. Like I haven't been alone in 30 days. Like I really have not had any true alone time in 30 days. I think it is actually hurting some people. Like I actually do think some of my energy and my behavior has been hurtful. In leaving, I've built this incredible community, this massive community of athletic women who are really good people. And I put myself in a situation where I just got too codependent. I got too wrapped up. I got too enmeshed. I got too wrapped in. And so much of my identity was what everybody else saw me as. Like, Bree's so fun. She's the party girl. She's the captain. She's multi-sport person. But she's also not very present. And she's also not always honest. And she's also, I can tell she doesn't want to be here, but she's just here because we said we wanted her here. Like, I know.
Yeah. You and I've talked about that a lot. Like, I'm going to start asking you, is this what you really want to do? Or are you people pleasing?
And that accountability that you had demonstrated for me so simply is now the accountability that I have the opportunity to take on myself. I get to really ask myself, and pause. Like, so much of this internal mindset work and all this is just inside job. It's inside job. You don't get any high fives. You don't get any pats on the back for changing your mindset. Nothing. You do all this work for years to fix your brain, and then finally things click. And then, but like, I'm not even there yet. I'm like just climbing the hill.
And it takes practice.
Yes. And so giving myself grace.
Maybe we need to go back and listen to episode 5 on boundaries.
Yes, I do. I do think it's related to boundaries. Listen, I have no problem setting boundaries with anyone other than my closest people. Tell me how that's a thing. But I think part of, me moving to Chicago, and I'll be honest about this, there was some freedom in kind of running away. Like, I was not running away. Like, this is an incredible opportunity. I still love the people that I'm connected to, but I'd be a little bit lying if I didn't say that they didn't get some relief out of being like physically relocating myself away from the things that really stressed me out and took so much of my time over the last 2 years. So I think
I don't know if you want to talk about this, but I think we can use the example of like your first weekend there. Like you said that this whole move was to an opportunity for you to do things different. And you kind of backtracked on some of that obligation or duty to yourself by like hanging out with people that didn't feel good.
Or just like staying too long in a place that didn't feel good, like, or a place that started to feel kind of not good. And that's the thing. That is an exact example. I'm so glad you brought that up. So first weekend, I'm, here in Chicago. I was staying with Alex, my boss / client / friend, for the first week that I was here. And I was like, all right, Saturday is a local friend, birthday, and some of the San Diego girls were going to be there and some of the Chicago girls. And I was like, okay, I want to go for a little and test the waters, and just like for no other reason than just to see, like, can I step into the person that I want to be, here, and with void of the usual things that get me caught up. What's that thing? Like the usual, I don't know, not tendencies, kind of, but habits. Yeah. And so old me came right out. She reared her ugly head from the very moment that I got there. And no, maybe like I gave myself like an hour or two. And then I was just like, yeah, this is fun. I'm supposed to be here. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I didn't even think about like the other options. Like, no, I could have just like stayed for a couple hours and gone home. Or I could have.
So you partied too hard?
I just partied too hard and stayed out too late and felt like shit the next day. And I was staying with my like boss / friend, which like, that's not a good look. And also it didn't feel good. Like while I was there in the moment, I was not thinking this. I was like, next step. And then the next day I was like, when the fuck did I pause and be like, do you even want to be here? Do you even want to do these things? Did you? Never. Yeah. I never gave myself a solo moment to just be like, how are we doing? Are we okay? Like, no. And that term is attunement. That's like something that my therapist taught me a long time ago, is like giving yourself a pause. Okay, what emotions are present here? And then attuning to yourself, which is like, okay, I'm feeling a little anxious. What do we do when we're anxious? It's just signaling, okay, maybe I need to change a perspective, or I need to change our set of boundary. Like, whenever we feel emotions, they are actually directive. Emotions are just directive. There's nothing else about them. And I think the guilt and shame that I felt about not having self-accountability was just enough to like really right size a lot of things. And then, I don't know. I just felt really sad. That was like probably the hardest week for sure.
So so we talked on the Sunday following, and you told me that you were feeling some shame and guilt for your decisions. And I let you know that like, you can't really change the choices that you've made, but tomorrow's a new day. So how did you pull yourself out of the funk? Was it just going to bed? Did you use any of the tools that you know? What did you do? Or is it still pending?
If I'm going to be honest, I'm still working through a little bit of the shame and guilt. I think being a health professional and someone who wants to be seen and known as like a spearhead and like a leader in fitness and connection and women's connection and fit and health, right? And then to have an experience where I did not demonstrate actions that feel aligned to the leader that I want to be. I still struggle with that. And I think I'm also really hard on myself. I think a lot of listeners and just people in general can like relate to this. But like, if someone tells me you fucked up, I trust me. I have already beaten myself with the intensity of like 47 Midwest moms. Okay. Like, I know that I fucked up. I know. And so I think admission of guilt to myself is worse. Did anyone say anything to me? No, they didn't.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, to your point, you're saying that like you've already assigned blame to yourself. Do you think that like, having these experiences gives you a unique opportunity as a coach?
Yeah.
I would say yes, right? Like, I think I'm unique because I'm pretty fucking boring. I am a baby grandma. I go to bed at 8:30, and there's people out there just like that. But there's also people out there just like you who love to go out and party and then experience the guilt and shame the next day. So like, you have a unique perspective to speak to that. And I think that's awesome.
The duality.
So I agree with you. Double tap that you're being hard on yourself. And you probably just have to do a little perspective shift while also still acknowledging the boundaries and the person that you want to show up as.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
It's an inside job, for better or for worse, right? I can be so cripplingly angry and so upset at myself and down and just icky in my brain. And you can see me as happily bubbly Brianna, totally going throughout life, all good. And on the other side, like, I could be like in my shit, dialed, Usually you hear more of that because people are setting boundaries and saying no and all of that. But even in those situations, like, I do think you're right. Like, having these big obstacles and facing these big challenges, makes me feel more human again and makes me feel more fallible. Like as fitness professionals, like, sure, like I can create the most like infallible protocol and plan and all these things for anyone and even myself. But the inside job, the self accountability to like do the hard thing and like not self punish, but like it's not like the I'm mad at you, I'm disappointed in you conversation, like with yourself. Like I'm disappointed in you, but I also love you and like you got this. Like I need the cheerleader in my brain. And I think for a long time I've relied on my friends and my community and my sports to like give me that love and that like like that positive feeling. And I think now is the time. It's like the thing that's the scariest is that when I'm upset or angry, like I have to rely on myself and I get to rely on myself and no one gets to see that. And I think that's the biggest part is that anyone can show the beautiful things of like new city, new friends, new people. But I'm not showing that like I'm struggling. I've been struggling so hard. And this has been one of the hardest things that I've done because when I moved to San Diego, that was my Saturn's return. Okay. Like astrologically speaking, that was my Saturn's return.
I love that we came back to astrology.
But this feels way more. And Saturn's return, for those of you who don't know, it's basically like an astrological, like it's like your midlife crisis, but you get one in your like 20s and 30s. And women usually are a little bit, you know, sooner than men, like around like 25, you probably moved somewhere, broke up with someone, changed jobs, cut your hair, did something crazy. That usually I thought I had to look into my chart. I'm like, is this my Saturn's return? Because truly, this is way more fucked up than that. But it's not. This is just a bump in my life. This is just a change in seasons.
Yeah, this is just a byproduct of a huge life shift that you acknowledge that you're ready for.
I said I was ready.
What's the worst that can happen, right? Like, okay, you decide that you don't want to do it anymore. It's not aligned with you. Look at how long you were making decisions that you weren't aligned with in San Diego. That didn't feel good. That created its own anxiety. So why not shift to the opportunity that you have in front of you right now? You're already almost through the hard part, right? Which is the physical move, which is the hardest part. Now you get to do the inner work. And you posted something the other day, like there's a difference between people who acknowledge where they go wrong and the people who will run away. You're not running away. There's always the option, right? Like you're not faulted. You're not bad if you decide that this isn't for you. But
and I think that actually,
I'm speaking to the general you and also you.
Yeah. I feel like that's partially why I've been so avoidant to like posting on social media too. Is like, what voice am I speaking from? Because right now I feel like a 13-year-old who's throwing a temper tantrum, who needs love and care and affection and is pushing away every single person who will give that to her. So I think that there's like a huge, shift, but I do, like you said, this is day one of like me finally stepping into like my life here. And so I do feel better. And even today I like woke up, went to the gym, which I normally do on Saturdays. I went to I picked up some chairs for Facebook Marketplace. I did some errands, right, for myself on my own timeline. I didn't have to like manage anyone else's schedule about like when I was going to pick them up or what, which was amazing. And then I went to the football field, which is less than 10 minutes from my house, and saw some of the girls that I played with in Chicago or from the Chicago team in February. And now I get to podcast with you. Tell me that's not a perfect day. I drove by 3 farmers markets. Zoe and I had a great walk. Like there's nothing wrong. There's no reason for me to be upset. And that feels so good. I want to talk about some of the things that I did do well, because I think I've said a lot of things that have been really hard, because they have been. But I will share some of the things that I have kept as that kind of fitness forward person, fitness identity. And I do think also staying with Alex helped, because I literally manicured and trained him with all of the lifestyle and nutrition habits over the last 6 years. But even like some of the mornings waking up, like he was on it. He was doing his routine, all of the things that I've taught him, we've talked about. So I do think like that was a positive shift. But one thing is I found a meal prep company in San Diego that calculates all your
in Chicago or in San Diego?
Good catch. In Chicago. It's called Eat Clean.
I was like, wow, you really want to keep some of that homegrown.
Well, they literally have no crops here, so I might have to smuggle.
What? In Illinois? Yes, they do.
They do not have like fresh berries and like, yes, stone fruit, but like think about in December, you get nectarines and berries if you want.
Yeah.
We don't get, I have to
I don't
buy
know.
berries in October and freeze them so I have berries for the winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So here are a couple of the things that I'm proud of myself that I'm going to give pats on the back. One, finding a meal prep company and like actually getting enough meals and getting my macros from my coach and sending them to Eat Clean Chicago and then having them in my fridge. That's number one. Number two, on the same like track, is like having pre-mixed protein shakes that you can literally grab and go. I had protein powder, but even just like fucking with the shaker bottle was too much for me. So
100%.
And I could make this into whatever I wanted it to be. Like I would add some like blended oats or I'd add some chia seeds or whatever. Like kind of just doing like a choose your own adventure, like smoothie protein shake vibe was kind of my breakfast for most of the last month. And then the other thing is really leaning on pre-cooked foods. So like Kevin's meals, we always talk about, even like Trader Joe or Costco, Ralph's, kind of like Kroger, those types of places. Last night I had roast beef in a package. It was like 50 grams of protein, 6 grams of fat. And I had that with some microwavable rice.
Hell yeah. You can always do like a rotisserie chicken too. And Costco has like the kind that's already pulled apart off the bone for you. And you could put that in a bag. You could put it in a salad. You could put it in a rice bowl.
And if texture is weird for you, an air fryer is incredible. It's a godsend. And so that the food side of things, I think I underate a little bit just by way of like being so manic and really like down, like kind of down while I was in San Diego, but then also just having so much to do. So the downside of when I was in San Diego was I would like wake up, have my pre-workout, work out, and then not eat until like 1. Then I'd have a manic episode and like emotional episode, like freak out. Then that would take so much out of me, like the day was over. And then I would just like eat all my calories from like 4 to like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So we're changing that.
So the low-hanging fruit items that you've been prioritizing throughout all of this have been pre-cooked foods, maybe water.
Honestly, water until now, because I'm an Element slut. I didn't have Element for the last couple of weeks, and I was like, kind of not really on my water. I'll be honest. I was not. And your brain is made up of 70% water. So like even there's some statistic there. So like even like some slight deviation in dehydration chronically impacts the functionality of your brain, which like makes sense, right? Because
and you also take Adderall.
I had been. So I actually stopped taking Adderall in March. And that I just went cold turkey. So I took Adderall in college. It was prescribed to me. I was diagnosed ADHD when I was 7, or actually 6. They're like, she's hyperactive for a boy, let alone a girl. Can't give her Adderall now. So they gave me like homeopathic remedies. Then took Adderall in college because my parents were like, we can't pay for public or private school if you're not getting good grades. And then I went on it again when my merger with my old company happened. I was like, I need to be on my shit. And I really think that turned like kind of put me in close to like a psychotic break in a way. Like that's when everything really, really went badly. But yes, Adderall, no more. But the patterning and like my nervous system anticipates me not eating, being starved, and then needing to like have an episode to like finally calm down. That's like that's paralyzing. That's a paralyzing cycle to be in. And what do we always preach? So, protein in the morning, right?
Right. So you've been trying to prioritize foods that are like easier to grab.
Walking.
What is your like gym, we'll call it routine, but I'm sure it's been like, fleeting on and off. You were really consistent while you were still in San Diego, but how has it been in Chicago? Was it like first priority to go find a gym? Did you already pick one out before you moved there? What was that
I'm
like?
the type of person that my workout is the hour that I do not disturb. Like when I'm in routine, that's like, don't fucking talk to me hour. And I love that. That had gone away from me for a while, really until like kind of today. So I actually went to yoga more times in the last 2.5 weeks than I've been in the last year and a half.
So you took this opportunity to try something different.
Or like recommit to something that I've done in the past that like I kind of like think is woo-wooey in some ways. But then my first
It's definitely a little woo.
session, I just sobbed the entire second half of the session because my chest was
Wow.
open, my hips were open. Like I really felt like in that session, my body released so much stored like tightness and trauma that had been
Yeah.
building up over the last couple of months, probably over the last like year that I hadn't been doing yoga. And then after that experience, you know, you don't have to have this like amazing experience to like be consistent with something. The second class, the teacher sucked and I left halfway through. But like the third session, I came back and I was like, well, it's got to be in the middle of those two. And it was great. So yeah, I've been walking a ton. Like I love exploring a new city by foot. So walking a ton, not quite running yet. Yoga, been just kind of dating different gyms and kind of finding the vibe that I like. I think I found it. And they actually host the Pride backyard bash. It's like this big Pride event. So like it's kind of cool.
That sounds sick. That sounds awesome.
So I'm working out and just like staying committed to my movement has been like the biggest focus. And staying committed to like protein. Like I knew that I wasn't going to be training a lot, so I wanted to preserve like as much of this like hard-earned muscle mass as I could.
Totally.
Things that really felt
so eating comes
that
up.
really fell to the wayside. My sleep. I am not somebody who sleeps when they're sad. I do the opposite. So I hadn't really been sleeping a lot. But I got a Hatch alarm so I can put my phone to bed before I put myself to bed.
I also really love the setting. It's like it's not do not disturb, but it's like a screen time setting. You can have it kick on at whatever time, and it basically blocks all the apps. You can select the apps that you want to be able to still use, like text or call, but it'll shut off all your social media at like 7. And then if you try to get into it, it just doesn't open, or it'll say like, allow 1 more minute or 15 more minutes. That feature has been so helpful in just like breaking that dopamine brain thing where you do like the hand to mouth, but it's like hand to eyeball, where you just pick up your phone and you open it and you're like, why am I even on here? Stop scrolling. There's nothing good here.
Maybe that's a good episode for us, like breaking up with the dopamine monster.
Ooh,
because
I love it.
There are some great tips and tricks of getting to bed earlier. I just myself was not taking those.
Yeah. It goes back to like what you said in the beginning, right? We have all the tools. We know what we should do, but there's that part of you that's like, fuck it. I'm just going to like be in this right now. And that's okay. Sometimes you just have to be where you are and then slowly get back to the place where you remember your tools and you're like, okay, now's the time I start my box breathing again. Now's the time I put my phone to bed early. Now's the time I start a new gym program. So give yourself that grace, I think, is the message.
Yeah, I think that having these big life events and changes and, you know, stressful situations, it's such a blessing. Like, I know it sounds really corny, but like it really is. Like to know the end of the spectrum of how dysregulated I could get and feel and be, and how like all of my tools were tested, and some things I didn't get right. Okay, but next time I move across the country or even just have a bad day, I'm reminded, because I have conversations with people like you and my coach and myself about what is my identity, and remind me who the fuck I am, because I've lost her and I need to get her back. And I think a lot of us, like our Hot Girl Detour episode is all about that. It's normal and expected to have detours. However, how good or bad that detour is specifically determined on how you took your own advice. Did you actually change the thing, or did you not? And I think that one of the biggest things I'll take away from this is that I don't have to be perfect to be a good coach, and I don't have to be perfect to be a spearhead in the fitness community. And also, I don't even have to fucking be a fitness person if I don't want to be. Like, that's okay.
Honestly, I was going to say, I would even argue that if you're quote unquote perfect, you're not a good coach. You're a liar. You're being a liar if you're quote unquote perfect. I think it goes back to all of this is giving you an opportunity to be a better coach and to speak from a different platform and soapbox. So I hope that a lot of people can get a little insight into who you are in this episode. And I don't know. I think it's been pretty good. And I think it's going to be cool to watch you grow. And I think that we'll kind of like weave the thread through the rest of the episodes and check in with how Bree's doing, because people are curious. People care about you. They care about us. They care about what's going on in our lives, albeit mine's pretty boring, but I'm happy to share whatever if we want to do an episode at some point. But,
yeah. And I'm like consciously, anyone who's actually still listening to this, honestly, I haven't been posting on social media because it doesn't feel authentic. There's no storytelling. And so I'm really grateful for you and grateful for this just platform to be able to process my own human experience in a way that I feel safe and that I feel like I can be really honest. And a lot of times I haven't felt that way. So thank you for the questions you asked.
Yeah. And maybe the message here is you should find a way to communicate this story. I know it feels like hard, right? When you're like, I can't even control myself, let alone post about it on social media as if I'm some sort of person people should listen to. Or that I
figured it out, right? I'm like, oh, do this cool tip. And I'm over here having a panic attack. No.
Yeah. And you'll get there, right? Like you'll get to that coaching spot. But I think just the transparency is all people ask. And you say like, it's not authentic. I think the vulnerability is the most authentic thing that you could do. Do you have any last minute thoughts before we wrap up?
BetterBusinessBureau.org is where you can research any company that you might hire for any contracting services of any kind. And I do highly, I cannot make this more clear. I implore you to look up Better Business Bureau if you ever hire anyone that you do not personally know ever.
All right, y'all. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode. If you're in a season of transition or even just craving one, we hope this conversation gave you something to reflect on and probably relate to. So whether you're deep in your feels or just dreaming about your next zip code, remember, mindset moves with you. Next week, sorry, go ahead.
We still have our Q&A jot form. So if you have any other follow-up questions or you would like us to do another Q&A episode, we actually had a lot of fun doing that. So any questions that you have for me about my move, about even Kelsey moving to San Diego from the Midwest in her earlier years, anything related to our habits, how we handled tough situations, I think this is a great episode for some questions. So definitely use that and we'll drop it in the show notes too.
And next week, we're switching it up. We're answering one of your questions from our Q&A form, and it's a big one. Hint, it's one of the most talked about supplements right now. So from your fitness to friendships, business to breakups, we're happy to spill it all. If you haven't yet, connect with us on IG at overthinking. at overt_thinking, at Brianna Lamb, and at Kelsey Michelle on Instagram. And we'll see you next week. We're ready to get a little unhinged, but still educational, obviously.
To the next episode.